Howie Klein joined. Are you there, Howie?
I am here.
Howie Klein is the founder and treasurer of the Blue America PAC. They raise money for people like Nina Turner, and he also writes Down with Tyranny, which everybody should go to right now. I want to ask. Go ahead.
I was listening to your little rant about how everybody who gets homeschooled should not wear masks and not get vaccinated. So I'm hearing a lot of that lately, from not just from you, but from a lot of people who are saying, stop coddling them, stop urging them to get vaccinated when they don't want to. How much better off would the country be? How much better would the gene pool be? Let's get the hell rid of them if they want it, or they're all looking to commit suicide because they have miserable lives.
Yes,
have you heard much on your show?
A doctor friend of mine, the sweetest man in the world, doesn't have a mean bone in his body, said to me the other day, and he's really, you know doctors. There are, believe it or not, there are doctors who really care about their profession. He said, you know what? We had this thing beat. Science had it beat. And the Republican Party refused to encourage their people to get the vaccines. And now all of us have to suffer. They are killing us. They are killing us. And he said, there's a part of me that, and I won't repeat what he said, but, he kind of said what you were saying. And I went, but we're all smart. Our side is smart enough to recognize that and know that it's wrong to think that and not act on it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Not talking. What do you mean act on it? We're not talking about actively doing anything. We're just talking about not doing anything. Letting them be. Leave them alone. Let them have their own lives. Leave them be.
Well, you could say.
How did you, when you found out that Lindsey Graham and Joe Manchin and a bunch of people were partying on Saturday, and Lindsey Graham now has COVID? What went through your mind?
I just found out that Lindsey Graham has COVID, but now I'm told he's vaccinated.
He is vaccinated, so he has very mild symptoms and won't die. But there were five other senators on Joe Manchin's houseboat on Saturday with Lindsey Graham, and we don't know if they're vaccinated. There are 4 Republican senators who are unvaccinated. Maybe those are the 4 people who were there.
Tell me, you know what? When you say Lindsey Graham and houseboat, what is going on? What is this? I don't know the story.
It was a party at Joe Manchin's house. I don't know why there was a party. Joe Manchin has more Republican friends than Democratic friends in the Senate. And, he had a party on his houseboat.
He has a mansion. It's a mansion boat, by the way, but go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And one of them, they're all now taking precautions, but Lindsey Graham announced that he has COVID.
Okay.
I thought, wow, imagine five of them or 6 of them. I don't know if there were 5 or 6, going to meet their Lord. That couldn't hurt.
You mean the Koch brothers?
No, I meant the Father of Jesus.
There's a part of me that thinks
sure
that, there's a part of me, 99% of me thinks that.
That's quite a part of you.
99% of me, but there's that strong 1% smart enough. It's just knowing not to articulate that in public.
Yes. I rarely write about it. Every now and then I just get carried away and can't control myself. But you're not supposed to say it in public, that's for sure. Well, you're not supposed to loud.
The fact
of the matter is what are you saying? You're saying leave them alone. Let them have their own lives. Let them do what they want to do. We're vaccinated. Chances are we're going to be okay. Could you imagine? I mean, all, someone much smarter than me, as something your friend was talking about a few minutes ago, said the other day, the margin of victory that DeSantis had in Florida was something like 32,000. He's now killed 38,000 voters in Florida.
This is our voter suppression.
No, we're not causing this. They're causing it. They're just suppressing their own voters.
No, I'm going to be honest. Come on, Howie. You know, we had dinner while Manchin was having a party with Lindsey Graham. You and I were with George Soros. Remember what we came up with?
No.
That George.
The Republicans' arm. I don't know.
We were on a boat with George Soros and Bill Gates and said, if the Republicans are going to keep passing these voter suppression laws, we're going to give them COVID, and that's how we're going to suppress the vote. Remember that?
I know.
You don't remember
that? Must have been one of your dreams.
Well, Steve Scalise was shot, and he's still against an assault weapons ban. At some point, you do have to say to somebody like Steve Scalise what you said. I quoted you earlier in the show. Louisiana is one of the unhappiest places in America. And you wrote, and they're trying to drag the rest of us down with them.
Yep. Yes, the governor today put in a mandatory mask mandate, a mask mandate. And, I expect that there'll be riots and, maybe murders. Who knows what there's going to be. But they do not like this. I mean, in European countries, there are now, you're getting as close to mandatory vaccinations as you can. I mean, in other words, they're saying you can't go into public buildings unless you've been vaccinated. You can't travel if you haven't been vaccinated. They're encouraging workplaces, strongly encouraging workplaces, not to let unvaccinated people go back to work. And there have been riots in Greece and in France and I believe in other countries as well. So this is going to be very, very tough. I have to say, I'm not trying to say that I'm a soothsayer, but I predicted this a year ago.
You did, and I thought you were joking. I remember this.
No, I wasn't joking.
Yeah. What about this? What about this? If you don't get a vaccine, if you can't show proof of vaccine, and you come into a hospital with COVID, you get a prayer card, and then you're sent home. Here's a prayer and a snake to handle.
Oh, well, that's better than what I thought you were going to say, which was a bullet between the eyes.
Well, again, there's a little part of me, 99%, that agrees with what you're saying, but that 1%.
Bad now that we're probably turning off like half your listeners.
No, it's about time. Here's the thing. Here's the truth. It's time for our side to start treating these people with the contempt they deserve. They are punching above their weight class. Louisiana does not deserve 2 senators. They have 4%. Louisiana is the size of a gnat. They have 4% of the COVID cases, 5% of the COVID cases in America. They're takers. They don't contribute to the IRS. They take from the IRS. It's time for us to put them in their place and remind them that they are beneath us. They really are. And the people who live in Louisiana, who vote properly, agree with me. It's time to remind Steve Scalise and Kevin McCarthy who they are, how inadequate they are. They're beneath us. Who is Kevin McCarthy, Howie?
Kevin McCarthy was the president of the California Young Republicans. He's never had a real job in his life. He worked in like an ice cream place giving people scoops of ice cream. That's the only job he's ever had outside of politics. And he went from being the president of the Young Republicans, he ran for the assembly here in California, and then became the speaker of the, not the speaker, the minority leader of the Republicans in Sacramento. And then he ran for Congress in Kern County, and now he's a congressman. And our friend Bruno Amato is running against him. He's never really had a real challenge before. This is going to be his first, and I don't think he knows it.
And he's not a bright man. I was told, and I'm not making this up, that he can't count votes. Have you heard that?
I've heard from a lot of members of Congress that he's very stupid. So I believe, I don't know about the counting part, but I believe he's an idiot. And in fact, the other day, questioned about something that he had done, Nancy Pelosi said he is such a moron.
Right.
For her exact, he is such a moron.
Right.
I've never heard her say that about Trump. I've never heard her. In fact, I've never heard her say that about anybody. She certainly didn't say it ever about Mitch McConnell when he was, refusing to take up every single bill that the House passed. McConnell wouldn't take it up, but she never said he was a moron.
How did he get to be speaker? Is Dennis Hastert, the child molester?
Speaker yet?
Well, he's going to be speaker because.
Well, he'll only be speaker if he beats Bruno Amato and returns to Congress. He'll only be speaker if the Republicans win a majority, which may or may not happen. He'll only be speaker if he doesn't get challenged by another Republican running from the right, which could happen.
All right, so.
But he's probably going to be speaker, yes.
Pelosi got to be speaker because she is, a bag man. She disperses cash.
He is the same with him. He's the same way.
So who's propping him up?
Well, the oil industry is a big part of it, but basically corporate America, he's their guy. And, like I said, the oil industry particularly, which is a big factor in Kern County, Bakersfield. And but really every type of corporate entity is giving him money. And he uses that money to buy power. They tell themselves that he's, not as bad as what they would be without him, that they would be worse. And there would certainly be there would be further to the right. There would be people further to the right than him. But on the other hand, he is a captive of that. Remember, the last time the speakership came up when there was a Republican majority, it looked like it was his. He was going to be speaker, and then the far right radical faction of Congress, of the Republicans in Congress, kept him out of it, and it went to Paul Ryan. Ryan wasn't supposed to be speaker. It was supposed to be McCarthy. And since then, he has never stood up to them. I mean, not that he stood up to them much in the past, but he knows better. I mean, who doesn't know better? There are a few psychopaths who don't, but most of them know better. You I'm sure, have heard that speech he gave right after the riot, where he said it was Trump's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he realized that would be the end of his career, and he would never have a chance to be speaker. And he went and bowed and scraped and kissed Trump's ass and took it all back.
You had said the reason the impeachment committee, the managers, didn't call McCarthy as a witness was they didn't want to destroy him. They propped him up. That they could have destroyed him during the second impeachment because he was on the phone with Trump. There was a witness to that call. Yep. And
Jamie Herrera Butler. They will definitely call him now.
They will call.
I mean, now they would like to destroy him, and he will be called as a witness. Absolutely be called. Now, whether he'll go or not is another question. I think that Jim Jordan is going to be called also. I can't imagine he'll go. I mean, there's a subpoena. You know, how good for their careers will it be to say screw you to the people who serve the subpoenas to them?
Yeah, we don't even know if Congress can subpoena a member of Congress. How is it possible that in 230 odd years, 240 years, they haven't figured out whether or not a congressional committee can subpoena a congressman to testify? They don't know. So Jordan won't testify.
No, I'm sure he won't. And I'm sure McCarthy, who said at one time that he would testify, publicly said he would testify if called on. I am willing to bet he won't.
Did you see Jamie Raskin cross-examining Congressman Clyde? Congressman Clyde is
Andrew, whose district, by the way, borders on Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. So they basically have the same inbred North Georgia toothless idiots as constituents.
He is somebody who, if you watch the insurrection tapes, he was crapping his pants. He's a cop. I think he was a police chief. And he barricaded the doors to the House of Representatives to keep the insurrectionists out. And then
I don't remember who, but another congressman said he was screaming so loud that he was putting all their eardrums in jeopardy.
This is Clyde, Congressman Clyde.
Clyde, yes, Andrew Clyde.
And then he said, like a month later, they were just a bunch of tourists, the people who
normal tourist visit.
Did you see? So Jamie Raskin, who is on the select committee, and he was an impeachment manager, grilled him. What was your reaction to their exchange? I'll play it later. What was your reaction to Jamie Raskin's inquisition?
My reaction was, wow, I'm so proud that Blue America endorsed Jamie. He's the greatest.
Yes.
And I asked the Blue America artist, one of the artists, to do a picture that includes Jamie, which she did, and I've used it several times on my blog.
A former Nader's Raider, Jamie Raskin. But what do you think Clyde thought and what his constituents thought? What did they see? You saw something, but what did the Republicans and the ones who voted for Clyde see?
A Jew. They saw a Christ killer.
Hang on. You know what? That is really funny. And that's what I was thinking. I saw it on Friday, and that was one of the first things. That's what they saw. They can't believe that Jamie Raskin is all brain, no brawn, and they can't believe that Congressman Clyde isn't just reaching across the table and strangling Jamie Raskin. That's what they think.
Yes, that's true.
So in terms of accelerationism, we started off this segment talking about how people, I don't want to say they, what we're thinking, but nothing, there is nothing that will convince them. When Steve Scalise got shot by a sniper who fired 70 rounds, I swear to you, I thought, this was 4 years ago, well, I hope Steve Scalise lives. And I think now he's learned his lesson and he's going to come out in favor of the assault weapons ban.
Never in a million years. That's a step they will never take. It's much, much safer to favor vaccinations than it is to favor, going up against the NRA. It just could never happen. You can pick almost any Republican congressman, and you can draw a scenario even worse, that a bunch of gunmen come into the house and kill all their children, and they still wouldn't turn.
So the idea that
almost the Republicans who I've heard about who have gotten COVID the ones who haven't died, they have come out and say, "Oh wow, was I wrong? You know, mask up, get your vaccination. I was wrong." And I see it every day. Now they're not members of Congress; they're state legislators, but these people are, you know, vehemently anti-science, and they don't believe in COVID until they get it. I mean, and you know, when we've heard stories about some of them close. I mean, I read one today. I can't remember who it was, but the family twice in the time that he was under with COVID, twice planned his funeral.
Oh, he's a Tennessee legislator.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so speaking of family, let's talk about Paul Gosar, the dentist.
Yes, I was just thinking about that. The problem with Paul Gosar was in 2018, 6 of his siblings did an ad endorsing his opponent. And then I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday, 3 of his siblings wrote an op-ed for NBC News calling on him to resign or calling on Congress to investigate him and kick him out of Congress. This is, you know, 2 of his brothers and his sister did this. But my take on it was similar to something that you were just talking about. You were talking about Andrew Clyde and what his district sees, and it's very much the same thing in Gosar's district. Gosar has the most, by far, the most Republican district in Arizona. That district it's a taker district. It doesn't produce anything. The people are worthless in terms of the economy. They're lucky that they have some beautiful areas and it draws tourists. But that's all that district is, just a place where they draw tourists. They don't contribute to the economy in any other way. There's also, homes for indigent elderly or for poor older people, I should say. And that's it. And it's a giant sprawling district. It goes from the very, very north of Arizona, right almost to the Mexican border. It goes right across, right next to the California border. And it's just nothing. It's just a big nothing. And there's no chance any Democrat can ever win anything in that district. That's how red it is. There's no other district in Arizona even close to how conservative that district is. And they love their congressman. The brother and the sisters and the other brother can say anything they want. They don't care. They laugh. They're happy. They think they've got a great congressman who's, standing up for them. And he speaks for them. What he's saying is what they believe.
Fascism.
Yes, that.
Did they use the word fascism?
I don't recall. I can't remember
Because I'm down with tyranny.
Yeah.
In keeping with the theme of today's show, we're talking about fascism. You accuse Gosar of fitting all the checking off all the boxes.
Did you see the artwork on that?
Yes, it's brilliant.
Did my art director did that? Did he do an amazing job?
Always.
I mean, but it's so incredibly beautiful, and it's just stunning, and it really gets it across for who Paul Gosar really is.
I can't play it. I wish I could. Very quickly, I want to ask you about Nina Turner and how it's looking for Tuesday.
I'm hearing, someone told me today that she's 5 points ahead, which is scary. It should be much, much more than that. But so much sewer money has been dumped into that district. These are the same people, the exact same people who did this to Alan Grayson. They did it to Marie Newman the first time she ran. I mean, the first time Marie Newman ran against Lipinski in Chicago, it looked like she had it. She was going to win, and then they just made up stuff out of the blue. I mean, they made it sound like she was a streetwalker, and there's no accountability. The people who are doing this believe that in politics you can say whatever you want. There's no legal recourse. That you can lie all you want and it doesn't matter. And there are now cases in court of politicians being sued for this kind of thing. And groups like the ones who are doing this to Nina Turner, who are being sued. These people, remember, they don't care about Chantel Brown. It doesn't matter. It's just not Nina Turner. That's all it is, not Nina Turner. And remember, these are so-called Democratic groups. Although some of the funding is coming from Republicans, they're Democratic groups, very, very far-right Democratic groups. Someone today, I can't remember his name. Do you remember the name of the guy who was a punching bag for the guy who ran for Congress in Montana a few years ago? Remember
Gianforte? Yeah.
I think Greg Gianforte.
He punched Reuters.
The guy who he punched was actually from The Guardian. I just can't remember his name. But in any case, today that same guy was writing for another publication. Might have been the New Yorker, or might have been the Atlantic. I can't remember which one it was. And he was talking about the Bidenification of the Democratic Party, and he seemed to be celebrating it. And the example he used was Nina Turner, that all of the the Biden type Democrats are, it wasn't that they're for Chantel Brown, they're just against Nina Turner. And this guy was writing this thing the day before the election as a big victory for Biden, that they're gonna beat her. They will beat her, and Biden and his people will be able to have something to celebrate.
Very quickly, you write that My Pillow guy,
the My Pillow guy, yes,
had a problem with crack cocaine. He seems like such a level-headed guy. How could Mike Lindell ever? Is that true that he was a crack addict?
Yeah, he was. So he started off as a gambling addict. He I don't know if he kicked that, but then he went to cocaine, and then and he wasn't rich at the time. From cocaine, he went to crack, smoking crack. Yes, it's not like that's only something only I know. This is a very well known thing. He talks about it publicly. It's been written about a million times. So if that friend of yours comes back and starts screaming that I'm crazy because I'm accusing Lindell of being a crack freak, you don't have to go any further than Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Or Google. Anyway, yeah. So he is a coke freak, and a friend of mine, an educator, as I said, told me that once you're a crack freak, or it's all over. Once you're addicted, there's no cure. There's no coming back. The way there is with other drugs, and I wrote a little bit about it in the scientific nature of what it does to your brain, and that has a lot to do with why this multimillionaire, very, 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 very rich guy has lost his mind entirely. He's out of his mind. He's crazy. He's literally a crazy person. I'm talking about the My Pillow guy. And that's because even though I from everything I've read and I believe, he is no longer on crack, but it doesn't matter. His brain is gone and not coming back. I don't know if you watched it or not, but I think at the bottom of the post, there is a wonderful interview that Jimmy Kimmel did. Yeah, that's a really, really good interview where Kimmel had Lindell on the show and talked to him at great length. And in fact, one of the things they talked about was the crack. I believe I'm almost positive they talked about crack.
Wow. Unbelievable. I love you, buddy. I'm glad you're good to hear your voice. Howie Klein.
I told you I got my third vaccination, right?
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
You got a booster shot. Good for you.
I got my third. My doctor's suggestion. She actually 6 weeks ago she said that it's something that we're all going to have to do, and she said I might as well do it right away.
Is it the same as is a booster? It's the same thing.
Same thing.
Okay.
And she also told me that, and your listeners should pay attention because this is good news. Whether you get Pfizer or Moderna, they're interchangeable. Now, I don't think that J&J, the Johnson & Johnson is, but Moderna and Pfizer are interchangeable. So if you got two Pfizers and your booster turns out to be Moderna, it doesn't matter.
Great. Howie Klein, founder and treasurer of the Blue America PAC. They raise money for progressive candidates. People should give money tonight to Nina Turner.
No, too late.
Okay. Who should they give money to?
Bruno Amato.
Bruno Amato to defeat Kevin McCarthy. Read Howie Klein over at Down with Tyranny every day. Thank you, Howie. I hope to talk to you next week.
Yes. Thanks, David. Bye.
Thank you, Howie Klein.